It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to rAVe TV. It's Steph and Gary. Hey, Gary, how are you doing? I see I like your shirt.
I bet you do. You gave me this shirt as a gift last year. This is there is a story behind this shirt. Can I tell the story behind the shirt, Steph?
Tell the story behind the shirt.
So
the people want to know.
I actually was accidentally, my mother lived in California in 1977. I was accidentally given tickets to the greatest movie of all time, Star Wars. I had no idea what I was given tickets to. And it was ironically for the opening weekend of Star Wars. Long story short, my mom had a friend who was part of production, got these tickets. So I was given tickets to Mann's Chinese Theater opening weekend. And Steph, some 30-some years later, buys me a shirt that says, I was there the weekend that it opened on my birthday weekend in 1977. I think it opened on the 24th, 25th of May. And that's why I'm wearing this. So, hey, Steph, thank you.
That's probably one of the best like Secret Santa presents I've ever given. Like that one, I just felt like really spot on with. And when you opened it, we had to guess like who bought it. You were like, who did this? Like was actually really good. And I was like, me.
It was definitely the greatest Secret Santa gift ever, no question.
But anyway, so a lot going on this week. First of all, we have launch next week, launch week 4. So if you have not signed up for launch week 4 yet, highly recommend that you do that because it's going to be completely new. We've got a lot of great subject matter experts, a lot of great educational sessions lined up, a lot of opportunities for you to earn CTSRUs. So please join us. We're going to have a Pro AV day, digital signage day, and a UCC day. It's going to be May 25th through 27th. So I'm going to have someone drop a link so that you can register if you have not done so already. We're looking forward to seeing everybody there. I will be in
the studio right now, Steph, getting everything ready for next week for
the
broadcast. So that's why you're seeing me in this weird location. The studio is, although theoretically walk in and use experience, as anyone knows with any kind of studio, you have to constantly recalibrate the cameras, the audio, everything. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm kind of just hanging out in here today. It's kind of lonely and hot. There's a lot of equipment in here. So as Steph will tell you, it's hot.
Yeah, it is. It's so hot. By the end of every event I've ever hosted, I've just been sweating. Just because there's so much technology in there and it's not the most ventilated, which makes sense because you don't have an echo when you're talking. But it's very, very warm inside that tiny room.
I'm doing the best I can. We'll maybe find a way to get you a fan in here. How's that? Because you're emceeing the event. Again,
I will be
next week. And I'm doing the opening keynote, which are the top 21 products for 2021. So if you want to see those, come to the event, sign up, wherever, if you're on, by the way, we're broadcasting this live on my personal LinkedIn today. If you're there, in the comments section, you should see a link to sign up for Launch Week 4. It's free. And in fact, we're running a special right now that the next 100 people that sign up get a free Starbucks gift card. We did a little announcement about that. So, hurry up and sign up for that if you haven't signed up for it yet. Steph, what is on the news? What are we going to focus on today?
Okay, so we talked about our event next week, but let's talk a little bit. Let's have a trade show corner here. So for CEDIA is coming up in September. It's going to be in person, right, Gary?
Yeah, it's in person. It's the first bigger show that's in person because CEDIA will bleed into Enterprise Connect, which will bleed into Infocom. So over those, that 60-day period, less than 60 days, say 45-day period of time, there'll be 3 big shows, but CEDIA is the kickoff of the 3.
Yeah. So IMCCA is going to partner with CEDIA this time. And so basically the two, IMCCA is going to bring insights and subject matter experts to CEDIA and kind of partner with them that way and help them in their content. So pretty exciting. The story's on rAVe Pubs if you want to learn more information about it.
What's interesting about this really quickly, Steph, is that CEDIA is a home AV show. And many people would look at this as like, isn't CEDIA going after Infocom by adding IMCCA or UCC? They're not, actually. They're two different things. CEDIA is not going after Infocom, for those people that think that. And in fact, what they're doing is kind of unique. They recognize that people were working from home, and they're now going to have like permanent home offices. Even if they're not working from home, everyone's going to kind of upgrade their work from home environment. So they've asked IMCCA, the experts at UCC, Carol Zelkin and her group and her team, Dr. Ann Aaron as well, to come in and put together a series of educational sessions on how to outfit your home space properly, but also how to build home spaces that are, upgraded workspaces, like, potentially have a Zoom room, Teams room, things like that in your house. So this is in no way competitive to Infocom. This is in no way, don't think the two are crossing. This is literally focused on the home.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say too, because I think as 2020 came and went, what we saw was a lot of industries and solution centers kind of bleeding into each other a lot. Whereas UCC and home and pro and all these different verticals that we cater to used to seem to be very different. A lot of them are kind of bleeding more into each other now and are kind of considered the same thing, because UCC no longer only covers conference rooms at your office. It also means setting up something for your house. So those two have started to kind of walk hand in hand more.
Right? Digital signage is now being used in UCC, and UCC is now being used in digital signage. So that's
exactly. Well. So I definitely don't think that CEDIA is going after Infocom or anything. I just think that this partnership really makes sense for this year, as we've seen more corners of the industry kind of become one. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
With this than IMCCA. That's a great partnership. Speaking of home, Zigbee Alliance.
That's so. They went through a
Standards Alliance, which I think is a great idea. Because although I like the name Zigbee and it sounds really cool, really what they've done is beyond what they were originally doing, because they're not all about just the Zigbee wireless standard. They're about connectivity in general.
Yeah, so the Zigbee standard was their first kind of standard that they came up with, so that was kind of why their name was that. But since then, they've developed other things. So they also had what was it called, Chip, that's now rebranded as Matter. So they have all these other things. So there's so much more than Zigbee. So I think that that's where the rebrand came from. So I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it just makes it clearer to someone who's new in the industry and is wondering what an alliance, what each alliance does. Just because standards in our industry are already very confusing, because we can't agree on any of them. So I think it was a smart move.
Yep, agree.
Next up, a blog from Christopher Gillespie. It's a really, really good one. He just talks about how 2020 was a sucky year, not a great year for anyone. I mean, for UCC, it was a good year, but for most of us in AV, it was really challenging, and other industries as well. So he kind of talks about how, it was not a great year, but there are some things that were considered the blue sky in the year, and how
we learned some new things. Chris is awesome. Chris worked for me at Extron. Chris is known in the industry. He knows his stuff, and he's got some really good insight as to what we learned from all this, and also where the opportunities are for AV in the future.
Yep. He talks specifically about this Riverview Systems company, and included a video about what they're doing. So it's a really cool article. I hope you will read it. It's on rAVe Pubs as well. Just go right to the site and it'll all be there. But so in terms of, we've had some a lot of integration news lately, just because it kind of goes off of what I was saying earlier, how in our industry solution centers and verticals are kind of piggybacking on each other. So I think that makes a lot of sense, in that brands are wanting to work together, and brands are going to want to make their products easier to use with other products. Because when you think of it, most of us aren't super brand loyal to one thing in our AV solution. So it makes sense that a lot of these are starting to work together. So speaking of that, Bluescape is integrating with Amazon Chime SDK, which, Gary, can you explain what that is a little bit?
Yeah, so Amazon actually has a Zoom style platform or a Microsoft Teams platform called Chime. Many people don't even know that it exists. Obviously, everyone at Amazon uses it. And of course, Amazon is going to bring it out to the greater industry. And Bluescape, as a collaboration tool, has always had an integration with Teams and Zoom inside of the collaboration platform. They just added Chime. They're adding Meet as well.
Okay.
Chime, again, is another UCC platform. I think it's tough for new UCC platforms right now because you have BlueJeans, you have Zoom, you have Teams, you have WebEx, you have all those ones that are established. So as you come out with a new one like Google Meet and you come out with Chime, you're competing with a big industry. But of course, Amazon, they're big. They're not going to go away. And Chime is another UC platform, and they've added it to Bluescape.
That's what's confusing to me. I don't really understand why new platforms keep coming out, because there are already like 20 that all essentially do the same thing.
Yeah, well, how many people work for Amazon? Like, I don't know, it's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. I don't know. You could probably Google that real quick or Wikipedia it. Maybe it's 70, 80, 100,000. I don't know. Maybe, but those people are definitely going to use Chime. So instead of Amazon paying Zoom or Microsoft, they have their own platform. So at a minimum, the Amazon people are going to use it. And if you're doing business with Amazon, you're going to have to use Chime. So I mean, they're one of the biggest companies in the world right now. So they're going to have traction. I don't know if it'll catch on outside of Amazon, but Bluescape has integrated it, and Bluescape's already part of the AWS services.
Yeah.
Bluescape's hosted on AWS, so it makes sense for them to have Chime integrated into it.
But is it common for a company or a manufacturer or anyone to come out with a software like that or a platform like that just for its own company to use it? Like, is that the most viable?
I don't know. I mean, I think they probably want to see it. I don't think that's their aim.
For sure.
We just got word from inside our company from Madeline said that Amazon currently has 798,000 employees. That's almost 1 million people that would be using it. That's nowhere near the 300 million daily video calls that Zoom has, but that is close to the number of daily video calls that Teams has potentially. They have a few million in the standalone platform, not the rooms. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, at what point in time do you say enough is enough? There used to be only 4 car manufacturers, and then there were 5, then there were 8, then there were 20, right? So I mean, the UCC is going to keep growing. So getting in now is still early, I guess, because it's a new market.
I guess that's true, but my whole thing is like, I don't really see the point in someone like wasting all their resources and coming out with a new one unless it does something that the others don't do or allows
anything the others don't do yet. Now they may have a plan that we don't know about, but it doesn't yet. Yeah, and in fact, the two dominating the platforms are still Teams and Zoom.
Yeah. Or unless it does everything that like, Zoom, BlueJeans, Teams does, but does it for cheaper. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like your pro account isn't going to be as expensive. Then I get it. But I don't know. I feel like
I think there is a chance we'll be in a price war. The one thing that's pushing against the price war eventually is inflation, right? That's the whole factor we have to take into consideration is everything's going up in price. So I suspect, services are going to go up in price as well.
Yeah.
And speaking of services, by the way, Almo Corporation, as you know, we've done a lot of education and partnerships with Almo over the years. They formed this Almo Pro AV group about 11 years ago. But Almo Corporation as a company is celebrating their 75th year. I'm shocked that there are companies that old in our industry, but they have a company history video. We put it in our story. You should watch that because the company was actually started by 2 guys. One by the name of Al and the other one by the name of Mo. So Almo, literally there's an Al and a Mo. And I love that little sort of story behind that. And, kudos to them. I mean, Almo Corporation as a company is a huge consumer electronics and consumer appliance distributor. The Pro AV group formed about 10 or 11 years ago, was started by Sam Taylor. And obviously they're doing the commercial AV stuff. But Almo Corporation celebrating 75 years. Definitely worth watching the video, understanding the story. It is still a family-owned company 75 years later.
It's just really nice that there are companies like that in our industry that have so much history, like you said, because like you're like, AV stuff has existed for that long? Huh.
Yeah, I mean, we're 18 years old, and I guess that's considered old compared to a lot of companies. Like most of the companies talked about earlier during this broadcast did not exist 18 years ago. So we're considered kind of old, but yet we're really young. But 75 is like, they're getting in the range of like companies like Daylight and Stewart Green, right? I mean, that are in the range of 75 to 100 years old.
Well, congratulations to them. I wish them all the success in their next 75 years. But yeah, so talk to me a little bit, Gary, about this new solution from this. I think it's a UK-based company called Vision. So they have a new floor stand for the Surface Hub. So very interesting.
So the Surface Hub 2S, when it debuted, it had a steel case cart that allowed you to flip it horizontally and vertically, or landscape and portrait mode, that had a battery integrated into it. Expensive and hard to get. Steelcase couldn't keep up with production. I'm sure Steelcase is focused on many other things right now. So this is an option, and it's a UK-based company called Vision, and they're building a product specifically for the Microsoft Hub, Surface Hub 2S. Again, that's very specialized product. People who are Microsoft 365 integrated companies are more likely to consider choosing the Hub, the Microsoft Hub product, versus other collaboration boards. They have a built-in market, sort of like Amazon does with Chime. But this is a very niche product, but it's a nice design. It doesn't require the battery like the Steelcase product did, and it's readily available, and the Steelcase product hasn't been.
Oh, very cool.
And it's a cart, so you can move it around. It's got wheels, everything.
Yeah, very cool. Really quick, I meant to ask you at the beginning of the show, but I forgot. What are you doing for Memorial Day weekend? Do you have any big plans?
Good question. I have not decided Memorial Day plans. Definitely going to the beach. I mean, we're here in North Carolina. We're just a couple hours from the beach. Everyone kind of goes to the beach. And, this will be our first time in a long, all summer we were masking it up until we were actually on the beach. And even a lot of people were wearing masks on the beach last summer, but I'm sure I'll go to the beach. What about you?
I am going to New York City, actually. So,
you're gonna take the game? Well, I guess I just saw last night they got rid of the if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear your masks, and they're opening up to 100% capacity in many places. I think it's optional.
Yeah. So I'm really excited. One of my best friends lives up there, and we normally see each other multiple times a year, just because I'll go up there or she'll come to North Carolina. But I had not seen her since I last visited up there, which was January 2020. So she just moved apartments, and she called me up the other day and was like, "Hey, what are you doing for Memorial Day?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing, I don't think." And she was like, "You're going to come visit me." And I said, I'm flying. I'm flying American. I've never flown. Which is so funny. I fly all the time, but I've never flown with American before. But yeah, I'm flying American into LaGuardia because I heard that all the construction is done and it's like kind of a nice airport now. Whereas it used to be just like one of the circles of hell to try and like either get into or get out of. It was just like you couldn't figure it out. It would take like longer than the flight to New York to figure out how to get out of LaGuardia. But I think it's like actually okay now. So I'm excited to see once all the construction's done.
You see a ton of LG displays in that airport. They're all over the place.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that. We talked about that on this show a few weeks ago, actually, that they had released a case study about doing all of the really nice displays in there. So I will definitely...
While you're there, take some pictures of how retail stores are using digital signage for crowd control and people counting and things like that. I would love to see some of that in a future episode of rAVe TV.
Oh, that would be cool, actually. Yeah, let me do that. I probably will not go around Times Square just because I hate it there. But I'm sure that like the stores like lower in Manhattan and like Soho and stuff are using people counters as well. So I will definitely be on the lookout and let you know what I see.
Cool.
Also, if you're a manufacturer who has installs around New York City and you want me to look at one, tell me and I will go look at it while I'm there. So let me know. But yeah, other news. Let me pull something up.
While you're doing that,
we
do something cool next weekend. I'll kind of next week at this time. I'm gonna tease it. So this is a teaser.
Okay.
Next week at this time, we're gonna do something cool. We'll come back to that. But go ahead and talk about your being comfortable outside your comfort zone.
Okay. Yes.
Story.
So this is a blog from Lee Distad. He's written for us like forever. He writes predominantly for our home AV audience, but he tends to write about like a lot of like management styles and like not super technical topics, so they do kind of like fit a lot of different things other than home AV, but he writes about being comfortable outside of your comfort zone. And what that can do for your business, what that can do for your dealers, what that can do for your clients if you are a dealer. So it's very good advice. And
Great
it is a
story.
common problem. I think that like we all kind of get into where we're comfortable at work and we don't want to like take a chance and we don't want to do anything else, but taking a chance and thinking outside the box are when innovation happens. So he makes a lot of great points and it's a really good article.
Good.
But yeah, so talk about what we're doing that's cool.
So next week we have Launch Week, and we are going to do a special live look inside of Launch Week, live tour. We're going to take you around and show you how things operate during Launch Week. During rAVe TV next week, you'll see our production team. You'll see our live studio in operation. You'll see our team on the back end handling social media and writing the stories. You'll get a behind-the-scenes look because we're going to actually do it during Launch Week. So we're going to break into Launch Week, sort of like a takeover of Launch Week for that for rAVe TV for that 20-minute, maybe 30-minute segment. So join us next week as you get a behind-the-scenes look at how we run Launch Week. And for those of you who don't know, Launch is our own platform. We don't use a third-party platform. We don't pay money to a third-party service. We run the thing entirely ourselves. And we've become really good at running events online, and we do everything from production. We do everything from registration to acquisition, to production, to planning, to project management, to live broadcast, archiving. Everything is done internally. We built our own platform called Launch. If you have your own event coming up and you want to do something that is a hybrid event, a live event, or an online event, and you're interested in having somebody take that event and help you with the digital side of things, you should consider us. You go to launch.com, lavnch.com. You can get a demo. You can book a demo there. You can see some behind the scenes, how we operate. You can actually talk to one of our sales team members by going to launch, lavnch.com. We're the platform that has been used by, I think, more than any platform in our industry. We even did the Avixa design event in December. We've done events for DPAA. We've done events for NSCA. We've done events for dozens of manufacturers in our industry. And of course, we've done our own events. So we'd love to do an event for you. If you have something you want to take digital, or maybe you have something analog that you also want to have digital coverage for. So you truly want to have a hybrid event, consider us.
Yeah, 100%. So other news this week, we have some industry news from Barco ClickShare. They show the results. They did some research on meeting trends and engagement and just an outlook for what the workplace is going to look like post-COVID. And basically, it kind of tells you the same thing that we've been talking about for months, basically, that a lot of, yes, it just verifies that a lot of what we're going to see in the future is that hybrid workplace, like people working from home, some people working from the office. Maybe they're in the office 2 days a week. Maybe they're in the office 4 days a week and they work from home on Fridays. Like we're definitely going to see a lot of optimism about and encouragement from employers about having a kind of hybrid schedule and not feeling like you have to be in the office at all times if you're working, which I think is really good and crucial and will probably, I think that a lot of offices are probably going to stay 100% remote, like maybe not a ton, but I think that a lot will, just because they've seen how much that it kind of saves money. So if you have a business that doesn't need people to be all there to do meetings, I think that a lot of people are going to opt to be work from home.
In our case, we've gone through this exercise for the last 6 months where we've polled the employees, asked what they want, all of our team members, asked what they feel comfortable with. And even us, even after all that, we haven't made a decision, right? We haven't decided what to do. We know, I can tell you for sure, we're not going to have 100% all back to work, back to normal, quote unquote. We were never back to normal anyway. We had a very flexible work schedule. So, on the flip side, we'll save money and not needing so much office space. On the other side, we're going to have to be better at using collaboration tools and continue to evolve those. I think people will come in when they need to be in, and we've had a really good experience with that. And I think more companies are going to kind of adopt that policy. And I think for us, it's easier because we've been doing it. I think it's harder when you take a company that has never experienced that and is forced into it. I think that's the magic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've always, like, at least in my experience, encouraged people to, like, if they want to go on a trip or something, but they don't want to take the time off, like, we've always encouraged people, like, hey, yeah, work remote. So, like, when I pre-COVID went to New York for, like, most of a week, I just, like, worked from New York for that week. And just, like, went to a co-working space up there and just kind of got some work done. So since we were already kind of encouraging of that, I think it made our experience so much easier when we were forced to do it, if that makes sense.
We're kind of lucky as far as that goes.
Mm-hmm.
You got a good case study for us this week.
Yep. Case study from the one and only Smoothie King. They are now using Samsung displays for faster service. So if you're aware of Smoothie King, really good smoothies. It's a chain. They're, like, all over, I think. But, like, typically they will do printed menus in, like, light box displays, but a lot of them are switching to using Samsung displays, and, like, how that has expedited processes during COVID and, like, all the stuff.
There were a couple other pictures with that story. Is it in there? Can you show the other pictures?
I don't think I included them, but I can go back and embed them in here.
But the other pictures, because there's some really good photos of what it looked like inside is too. So Samsung's handling both the indoor and outdoor displays. And what's interesting about Samsung in signage and applications like this, they also have LED outdoor small form factor displays too, which a lot of brands don't have. And the advantage of using LED is you don't have to put it inside of an HVAC controlled box.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be the future. I think you picked this case.
Our lights just went out in here.
You just like Smoothie King, but one of the problems with eco-friendly offices is lights just turn themselves off.
Yeah, they go off
with this all the time.
No one moves in, like, 30 minutes. So, like, I'll be typing and then all of a sudden I'm just, like, in the dark and I'm like,
and no one usually cares until we're doing a live broadcast, and then somebody's, like, running to the light switch to turn it on. So who ran to the light switch? Who do we know?
Carrie just, like, ran for the door to make them come back on.
But I think we've reached the end of this week's rAVe TV, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. So thank you so much for joining us. As Gary said, we will be doing a special episode of rAVe TV during launch week next week during Digital Signage Day, I believe. So please register for launch week if you would like to join us, and you will see some behind the scenes content. It's going to be really exciting. And as always, you can see all the stories we talked about today on ravepubs.com. Have a great rest of the week, everybody. Bye.
It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.